Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and today we're going to be making little Christmas ornaments out of these little wood cutout pieces that we got from the Dollar Tree. Yeah, they look kind of plain right now, but wait till we see what we do with them. Let's get to the craft desk and get started. Let's go. Okay, we're at the craft desk, and what we're doing is we're making little ribbon strips for our little bitty teeny tiny messy bows. And what I'm doing is I'm taking ribbon that is 5/8 inch wide, I'm cutting it in half and then cutting those pieces in half. Then I'll cut them in 3-inch strips because it'll be easier to work with. Then I'll put them like in an X pattern, and I'm kind of mixing up the colors because I don't want all the colors right beside each other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of pipe cleaner that's about 2 inches long, and I'm going to fold those little ribbons over and twist that pipe cleaner on there, and then I'm going to trim them off, and then I'm going to repeat it for the second bow. Okay, the next thing I'm doing is I'm prepping all of my little bitty pieces to put on my snowman and little truck. And that's just a flower I'm cutting up and a leaf that I'm cutting up, and then I'm cutting a hanger. Now that I have everything prepped, it's time to paint. Yay! Okay, so we're going to paint our little snowman, and we're going to paint him white. And we're going to paint everything white except for his little hat. And we're even going to paint his little nose white so that when we put the orange on it, it stands out. Now I put 2 coats of white paint on my little snowman, and now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint my little truck, and I am painting everything white on this little truck to include the Christmas tree. And then I'm going to make sure that I get coated on both sides of the snowman and both sides of the little truck. And the reason why I paint all my projects white first is because I want my colors to not be dulled down. I want them to be bright, and then the ones that I want dulled down, I can choose what I want to dull down on those. Okay, the next thing you'll see me do is come in with a smaller brush, and I'm going to paint my little tires, and that's a number 2 brush of the Simply Simmons. And I'm going to paint my little tires on both sides of my little ornament now. Okay, I'm going to let my little truck dry, and then while the truck's drying, I'm going to come back to the little snowman, and I'm going to paint his little top hat black. I'll paint both sides of it. And whenever you're working on a painting project, it's good to have 2. If you're working on little ones like this, it's good to have 2 so you can go back and forth. As one's drying, you have time to paint the other one, and then when that one's drying, you can go back and paint the next one. And that way you're not sitting there waiting. But if you have a blow dryer, you can dry it up sooner. And there's my little pink clip I've been using for the snowman to hold it up for me when I'm painting it, so that I don't smear the paint on the project. The next thing I'm going to do is go back to the little red truck, and I'm going to paint the bed and the truck itself, not painting the willow with slats on the back, but I'm going to paint the truck on both sides of this little ornament, and I'm going to paint it red. Then I'm going to set my little red truck to the side, pull over my little snowman, and I'm going to grab my orange paint. I'm going to paint his little nose orange on both sides. Then I'm going to go back to the little red truck, and I'm going to paint the Christmas tree on the back of the truck on both sides. And I kind of do my brush strokes in a swoop pattern, so that, and I don't try to work out my brush strokes like I do on the truck. And that's because I want it to look like the leaves of the Christmas tree, the evergreen. And I'll paint both sides of this. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the little snowman ornament, and what I'm going to do is dip my brush in a little bit of water and black paint, and then dab some of that water off of my brush, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to highlight this little snowman on one side. And it looks kind of dark, but it's not really, because that's the highlight that I want it to have when I get ready to when the sun comes in and the shade's on one side of it, that's what I want it to look like. And if you get your shading too far around like I did here, you can just come back and take off some of that shading. And now I'm going to do it on the other side. And when I do it on the other side, I realize that's about how much I want. So that side that I started on, I'm going to come back in there with some white paint and just touch that up. And that's what you see me doing here. So see, if you make a mistake, it's okay. It's fixable. Okay, now I'm going to come in and do the same thing with my little red truck. And this is where I'm talking about you can dull down that red. I'm doing the same thing with my black paint. I got black paint and I added some water to it and made it very thin so that when I come in here and highlight this little truck, it doesn't, you put the water in so it doesn't overpower your project. And it's hard to see on this little red truck on camera, but when you get it, when you actually do it, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And I'll do it to the tires, I'll do it to the truck, and I'll do all of this to the tree as well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fine Sharpie marker and I'm just going to make a line, 2 dots, a line, 3 dots, and I'll just follow this little pattern all the way around the little snowman, just embellishing it with my Sharpie marker. And then I will come in, I'll do both sides of this. Then I'm going to come in with my ultra fine Sharpie marker and make little squiggly lines, and I'm going to do this to both sides of it, and I'm not going to be neat. Then I'm going to come in with my Uniball white gel pen, and I'm going to kind of add some white squiggly lines around the edges and across the nose, and then I'll go up into his hat. And I'm not trying to be perfect in any way, I'm just making little squiggly lines to embellish my little project. And this white just makes that look like little snow on his hat, and I think that's just too cute. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my 5-inch pieces of ribbon that I cut, and I cut it in half. I'm going to take one half and make a little bow or a scarf for his little neck, and then I'm going to continue to embellish. Now I'm going to take, to make that look like the little bow on the other side, I'm going to take a piece of that, but I'm first going to go up to the hat and I'm going to wrap his little top hat with a matching piece of ribbon so that he will have that little band around his top hat. After I finish this little top hat, I'm going to take a little piece of that ribbon that was left over, and I'm going to make a little V like out of my bow to make that scarf piece for the other side of the ornament. And then I'm going to take and angle up the little ends of his scarf, and I'll trim down the one on the other side so that it doesn't hang over too much, and just give both of those a trim. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I think about putting my tie on it at that point, but then I decide to go ahead and put on my little pieces of poinsettia that I cut and my little holly leaves that I cut down to make 2 little holly leaves, and I'm going to glue those down to this side and put 1 little leaf there of the poinsettia and 1 of the holly, and then I'll repeat it on the other side of his little necktie there with the kind of putting it in X pattern, but try not to cover up his nose. Then once I get that done, I'm going to take one of my little Jingle Bells that came out of my stuff that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue it on that side. Then I'll repeat the same on the other side. The next thing I'm going to do, now that I got my little poinsettia and Jingle Bell on both sides, I'm going to come in with the little jute rope that came with these little snowmen, and I'm going to make a hanger for it just by threading it through the little hole that was already there and then putting it on there. And then I'm going to take my messy bow that I made at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to take and wrap it around the little jute rope a little bit up away from his hat, just to give it some embellishment, and then I'll trim off that little piece of wire that's left over. Now I'm going to switch back to the little truck, and I'm going to take that fine Sharpie marker and just doodle all over this little truck, adding where I think it needs the little highlights for the detail lines. And I'll put some in those little white tires. I'll go around and doodle on the Christmas tree. Then I'll come back in with my ultra fine Sharpie marker, and I am making squiggly lines, and I am not being neat about it, and it doesn't matter to me where these lines go. I'm just putting them on there because it embellishes it just that much more. And I think this little truck is just turning out too cute. Then I'm going to come in there with my Uniball gel pen. Now, whenever you flip this over to do the other side, you want to wait until this gel pen dries. But I'm just taking and making little squiggly lines to make it look like where snow would fall on the truck. And I'll just keep embellishing this until I get it done, and I'll do both sides. Okay, now I've took and embellished both sides of my little truck, and I'm going to take one of the little green Christmas trees that Dollar Tree has this year out, and I'm going to leave that end on the little tree, but I'm going to put hot glue on it, and I'm going to tuck it right in that little spot. And then I'm going to take and fold my tree up like it's supposed to be in the back of the truck, and I'm not going to worry about that little spot being there because I'm going to paint it brown. And you probably can't see the brown that I'm putting on there, but it is a little darker than what was there. And then I'm going to let it dry. Then once it's dry, I'm going to come in with my fine Sharpie marker, and I'm going to just doodle it to make it look like a log that's sitting in the back of the truck. Then I'll come in with my ultra fine Sharpie marker and put little squiggly lines in there. And then I'm going to come in there with my white just across the top of it to make it look like snow. And then I'm going to add some snow right in there. I'm showing you that I get that snow up on the rim of that little wooden piece to make it look like a log. And then I'm going to come in with my little messy bow, and I'm going to take and stick it in between those little pieces of the bed of the truck, and then I'm going to glue it in there. Okay, I've got my messy bow glued into the other side, and what I'm doing here is I realized I didn't have enough of the holly leaf cut out, so I'm cutting some more of that out, and I cut some more little red pieces off of my flower, my poinsettia flower, and I'm going to just glue, I'm going to flip the truck over from the opposite side of the messy bow, and where that pipe cleaner came through, I'm going to take and cover it up by adding this little poinsettia to this side underneath the tree, and that'll cover that spot up. And then I'll add a little jingle bell in there. Okay, I've added the little jingle bell in on that side, and I'm going to come back to this side, and I'm thinking about the hanger for it, but then I'm going to go ahead and put a little jingle bell on this side as well. Now how you do those projects and you just think you have everything that you need? Well, I needed another piece of ribbon. So I cut another piece of ribbon 6 inches long and cut it in half, and then I'm going to use it to make a little hanger for my little truck. right, you guys, we just finished these 2 cute little Christmas tree ornaments, and you can use them as tags for your gifts, or you can hang them on the tree or put them as tags, and then they can use them and hang them on their tree. What a cute addition to a gift or for your Christmas tree. You guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We hope you like and subscribe and give us that big thumbs up. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. Bye!
Thank you to all of those who already like and subscribe. And I'm not saying this right. I messed up. Alright, you guys, we just finished our little Christmas tree ornaments that are 2-sided, and they look just so cute on your Christmas tree. Look at that, how cute they turned out to be. I went in and I did add one of them things to hang to hang it with on your Christmas tree, a loop, a hanger, whatever you want to call it. But aren't these just too cute? These would be cute even on your little packages and stuff. You guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We hope you like and subscribe and give us that big thumbs up, and leave us comments below if you're liking our videos so YouTube will keep promoting them. We want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye!